So we had such a good time doing the field trip with the leaf rubbings that I am going to get a little exercise today, and we're going to take a field trip to one of the places you can find art here locally in town, and that's the Sculpture Garden that's across from First Baptist Church on Starling Avenue. So let me walk up there and then we'll walk around the garden and see what's there. So we made it up the hill to the R.P. Gravely A.J. Lester Art Garden by Piedmont Arts. They are who built this wonderful garden. So what I want to show you right now is that the actual sign is even art. It is mosaic tiles. Beautiful, beautiful. I wish I knew the artist's name, but there's no placard on it, which is what tells us who actually designed it. And there is the mosaics on both sides of the sign. So let's venture in and see what we see. So the first thing on the right is a sphere, which is a 3D ball shape. That's one of your geometric terms. And I actually know the woman that made this. Her name is Jessie Ward. And it's called horseshoes because it is constructed of horseshoes. So, you know, it doesn't look like much, but when you think about how in the world, number one, did somebody create something perfectly round, but how did they hold it together while they were working? If I see her, I think I'm gonna ask her that question. All right, let's move on. So we can't come to the Sculpture Garden without noticing the old post office. And in case you didn't know, that's what this is. This is the old post office building. And there is somebody that takes care of it all the time. And there is a placard by the door that says it's a National Registry of Historic Places. It is a Virginia Historic Landmark. And it's called the Little Post Office. So that is a very fun place to see if it's ever open. Get permission and maybe they'll let you come in and take a little tour of the little post office. If you're not careful, you'll walk right by this one. This is a sculpture of a tree. Very hard to see because of the beautiful trees behind it. But let's see if I can walk in closer and at least you'd be able to see the trunk. And then there are leaves made of metal decorating the trunk of the tree. Very, very nice. This sculpture is called The Giving Tree, and it was made by Jeremy Stallings. It's made of steel in 2019. Things we might walk by every day are art. This bench is here, obviously, for having a little rest on if you walk up that steep hill like I did. But it's art. And this one is placed in memory of Judith Kennedy Matthews. What that means is that someone loved her and thought, let me donate a bench to the Sculpture Garden in her name. So let's move on a little bit more. So this sculpture is called the Four Seasons. It is also made of steel, and it's a tree that represents the four seasons of the calendar year. It is absolutely wonderful. Once again, how did they create that? Sometimes I wish I was a fly on the wall so that I could have seen the putting this together. Absolutely wonderful. As I was walking up to the Four Seasons tree, hiding underneath all the leaves was some sidewalk art. Looks like it was just painted with some white paint. I don't know if that's permanent or if that's going to wash off with a storm, but it sure did make me smile when I saw that somebody had come over here and even put art underneath our feet. So over here from the sidewalk art is a giant, is that a daffodil or a buttercup? It's made out of metal and it's called Cliffhanger. Actually, it's made of steel. It's daffodils. And to give you a size, I could not touch the top. It is gorgeous. One of my favorite in the whole garden here, the sculpture garden. So that is another one of the pieces here at Piedmont Arts Garden. So we're coming up on another piece that I'm sure you've seen as you've driven by, because it's hard to miss. It is art from every side. And this is called Day in a Life. There's the placard. It's wood and found objects. I love doing craft projects with found objects. So let's just see if I can focus in on a few things. Those look like simple pipes that I would find in my basement. And these, I don't know, but they move. So we also have an old steering wheel, some kind of double stitched pig out of wood, an aluminum or a metal bottle, the letters EAT in block style. From here it looks ceramic, but I really can't tell from down here. I don't know if you know what that is. That's an old banjo. And then behind it is an old guitar. And behind that is a sheet of music framed. And there's an old sign, Gospel Sing, and it probably said Wednesday. But look what's behind the guitar. A pair of glasses. Next to it, there's a container with some brushes, another broken instrument and guitar, and there's a tambourine up there. All part of the Gospel Sing. I even see a keyboard, an old piano keyboard up there. And if we move down lower, there's a half a bicycle. That's fascinating. And look over here. We have a golf club, an old post, but I love this. I bet y'all don't even know what that is. It's an old rotary telephone. My dad still has one. Just saying. There's the receiver hanging down. There's a little golf ball and the cup. Absolutely fascinating. And I'm sure I missed things. Let's back up and look up top at the old scoreboard. And on this side, a small window. Once again, I wish that I knew when they made this, because I would love to have been a part of watching. Well, that's just one side. So if we look at this side, up at the top, those are tobacco leaves hanging to represent the tobacco fields and farmers. And at one point, Martinsville was an all-American city. So that's really interesting. That blade looks like it might represent a sawmill. It has like hieroglyphics on it. Fascinating. An old birdhouse, because that's just cool and interesting. And as we move down, I don't really know what it is, but I love the arcs, the different lines, verticals, horizontals, diagonals. It's all wonderful. The centerpiece looks like some wheat, some other kind of plant, an old window boxing, and this part is really cool. So let's start down at the bottom. This part right here looks like some old weavings, and it reminds me of clotheslines. And then an old wooden propeller type item. We have some sliding items. Looks like an old child's toy. Right there, that's the back of a chair. Actually, it's two backs of chairs. Fascinating. And I love this. The garden tools, the paint roller, the paint bucket, hammer, and I love the tool belt. Nails, tape measure. Absolutely the coolest. All right, let's see what it looks like from the other side. And it looks like it's just got some engravings on it. That is not graffiti. It's got Hodges, Kent Wright. Absolutely wonderful. So let's move on to the exit, which was also the entrance. All right, so on the other side of the entrance wall are some more mosaics. Absolutely beautiful. Cardinal, which is the state bird. Beautiful. And here's a pumpkin, perfectly fitting for the season of this filming. Butterfly. There's words in there. I see, well, I did from the other angle. I see EM19. Little animal, little figure. All kinds of things hidden in there. And then dogwoods, which is the state flower. More hidden gems in there. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So, I hope y'all have enjoyed your visit to the Piedmont Arts Sculpture Garden. And next trip, we're actually going to go into Piedmont Arts and see what's on the display.